Gaming America here, speaking with Alex Dixon, the CEO of Q Casino. So, Q Casino is a community-run casino, is that correct?
That's right. We are effectively owned by the city of Dubuque. We're one of two nonprofit casinos in America. The other is in Prairie Meadows, which is in Des Moines, Iowa. But it's an extremely unique model.
Could you, for our viewership, tell us the background of choices Dubuque made as a city to introduce this pretty innovative idea?
No, so back in the early 80s, really Dubuque, like a lot of Midwestern towns, was faced by the farm crisis as well as manufacturing leaving a lot of rural communities. And so we were faced with some of the highest unemployment within the country. And so a group of local citizens got together, formed a board, and convinced the city of Dubuque to issue a general obligation bond to start a Greyhound racing facility in Dubuque. And so it went off like gangbusters. And so it was organized as a 501c4, which is a form of nonprofit gaming here, or just a form of a nonprofit. And what was important is that those funds, because the money was borrowed from the community, had to be returned to the community. And so the deal that was worked out was that 50% of the profits went to the city, and then the other 50% went to local charities. And so that model stayed in place even after we added slot machines and later on added table games. And so today we run a casino just like anyone else. It's just that the profits, when we make it, just go back to the city and the local charities. And so we're excited.
Sure. And it's also a big employer in the town. I was wondering if you could speak about what sort of ancillary benefits it brings in terms of employment.
No, absolutely. I think one of the best examples is, there's a housing crisis in America and there's a housing crisis in rural America because effectively it's not really profitable to build homes for working class people. And so to that end, we are, through our philanthropic efforts, engaging what I call venture philanthropy. And so to this end, we're not just giving money to Habitat for Humanity and saying, hey, let's have a nice day to show up and build, maybe a volunteer on a home site. We are actually providing them, in our case, $200,000 to acquire land so that they can help build homes for the next 10 years. Right? And so that level of underwriting is the same level of deal making that I did when I was at Goldman Sachs 20 years ago. You need to look at the balance sheet. What is the purchase agreement? How much can they support any debt? What's the pro forma looking like? And so to that end is sometimes with nonprofits, we let them suffer from the indignity of low expectation. And so what this is doing is to be able to say, hey, no matter where you are, if you're serving our more rural outlying communities or right in our urban core, we need to set high expectations, fund them just like we would fund a venture capitalist who's going to go solve the world or issue some new software. And so that's a clear example of how you're able to get talent, run a business, and then be able to have ancillary benefits within the broader community.
Sure. And I was wondering, in terms of with this ownership structure or management structure, is there any inefficiencies, would you say, compared to more traditional?
Look, it's not perfect. I mean, there's what I call is a competition of ideas. So when we were started, we needed revenue from this facility to help pay for just basic services, meaning police, fire, because your tax base went away. You needed some other form of revenue. And so today, we're very successful in that we provide about $1 out of every $7 of the city's general operating budget. So that's a big chunk. Now, there's other budgets that do wastewater treatment and other services that are provided. But from the core one that effectively buys down property taxes, we're a big component of that, meaning Q as well as Diamond Joe, which is owned by Boyd Gaming. And so to that end, one of the big rubs is always going to be how much capital should you deploy to reinvest in the business versus giving that money to be able to help a community buy down property taxes. And so that's a natural pull and tug. And so we need capital to keep up We need capital in order to buy slot machines, to buy gaming equipment that's going to keep our asset refreshed. And so that's that natural pull and tug that we've got to be able to, work through. And I'm excited because the City Council has said we believe in that vision of making sure whether it's the Golden Goose or the island where we sit is able to progress and develop moving forward.
Right. And with this model, you said there are only 2 casinos like this in the country. Why not more? And is there momentum for there being more?
Well, I would say so it's very unique in that, for the most part, for cities to be owning really any business, sometimes it's somewhat unique. So then for a city to effectively to own a casino is even, let's say, very unique. And so when we open up new gaming markets, and many times the state legislatures that are opening them, they want a ton of upfront capital, and then there's a need for a capital after things are deployed. And so I'll use, let's say, Georgia, for example. Let's imagine if Georgia were to open up gaming. Everyone in the commercial business would be racing to Atlanta to be able to help, as they already are, to jockey to spend billions of dollars to be able to go there. Not everyone would be running to a community like Dubuque that may only have, 60,000 people there. But what I tell people is we too deserve nice things. And if people study the impact of this model on our community, I think there may be more people around our country that looking to model like this that might be able to help solve real world problems like I described before.
Yeah. My last question is about Q Casino specifically. It started as a Greyhound racetrack,
Yes.
and then table games were introduced 15 years ago, I think. What is the next evolution going to look like?
Well, the next evolution is really an integrated resort that's on this 200-acre plot of land that is all owned by the city. And so we are going to continue to build more assets that produce more cash to provide more revenues and cash flows to our community, whether that be in the form of our charitable donations or well as in the form of to the city. We need to be able to reinvest within our core gaming product. We need to be able to build more hotel rooms. We need to be able to connect our waterfront from the Q Casino on the island where we sit over to the Port of Dubuque. So we need to develop water taxis. We need to have a great amphitheater. We need to build more assets because one of the things that we can do, just like tribal communities have done, is to leverage our sovereignty to be a source of value. And so we are unique. We're different. There are 2 nonprofits, but we're the only city to own a casino. And to that end, we're inextricably tied to our city's success. So we need more population, and more population is going to be better for our business. The better our business is, the better for the community we can be.
Sure. Thank you. This has been Alex Dixon, CEO of Q Casino.
Thank you. Cheers. Great.